Okay, so this lesson has to do with the distance formula, which is basically just finding the distance between 2 points on a coordinate graph. Now, the first example I'm going to use is we're going to find the distance between point 23 and point 51. So sometimes you're going to have a graph, sometimes you won't, but you want to be able to find it with either. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to graph point 23. So go over 2, up 3. So here's my first point. And then the next point is 5, 1. Go over 5, up 1. So we're looking to find the distance between this point and this point. And it's a diagonal. So notice one thing you could do is, using the Pythagorean theorem, you could draw a right triangle, just like this. If you didn't have this graph in front of you, you could also find the distance between here and here. And remember, you can't count like this. Okay, so anytime it's a diagonal, you need to use the Pythagorean theorem to find the distance of the diagonal. So let's see how the distance formula works. So I'm going to give you the formula, and the formula is the distance is equal to plus or minus the square root of x sub 2 minus x sub 1 plus, and that's squared, plus y sub 2 minus y sub 1 squared. So what you're going to do now is you're going to identify what x sub 2 is, x sub 1, y sub 2, y sub 1. It's actually very easy. So you have 2 points, 2, 3. This is going to be x sub 1. This is y sub 1 because it's with our first point. So we're going to name this. This is x sub 1, y sub 1. All right. So they both go the x and the y values with the first point. And then the second point is 5, 1. So this is going to be x sub 2, y sub 2. So now what we're going to do is we're going to plug them into the formula. So the first number we need is going to be x sub 2, which is 5. And we're going to subtract x sub 1, which is 2. That gets squared. And then plus y sub 2, which is 1, minus y sub 1, which is 3. And that gets squared. So 5 minus 2, you're going to end up with 3. And that is squared, plus 1 minus 3 is negative 2, and that's also squared. So if we square 3, we end up with 9 plus, and negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4. So we're going to end up with the square root, because remember we're still underneath this big square root sign, of 13. At this point you want to go and plug this into your calculator to find the distance. And again, remember it's plus or minus. So if you have a calculator like mine, you turn it on, hit clear, and then you want to take second button, hit the x squared button, and up will come the square root button, and you plug in 13, hit enter, and 3.6. We're going to round to the nearest tenth. So it's 3.60, so it will stay at 3.6. So the answer is 3.6. And that's the distance between this point and this point, if you had to find it on a graph without using the squares.